Hello, everybody, and welcome to a day of the life of commuting 50 miles in my Tesla Model 3 to work. This is the rear-wheel drive model. It is the cheapest model that you can get. No upgrades. It is base everything. I mean, it didn't even come with floor mats. Yes, I had to buy floor mats. You're going to learn a few of the pros and cons of this car, but overall, I think if you want a semi-affordable but mostly comfortable and efficient commute to work, this car is among the best decisions. Now, just right off the bat, this car is going to be much better and much more expensive than a 2006 Honda Accord. Yes, that's what I drove before. That's what I was upgrading to. If you get a very old, very cheap car, it is going to be more affordable than a Tesla. Literally no one is arguing that. But if you get a car that is comparable in the price range as I got this car, and yes, I got an EV tax credit. There's certain incentives. I mean, you can be pretty smart about getting it. You can get a Tesla for a better deal. This is on 6 times speed, by the way. So you're noticing it is a rather quick drive. Some of the pros, though, you'll see I'm using autopilot. My hands aren't touching the steering wheel. Yes, it makes you nudge it. Yes, I use it for 90% of the drive, which means 10% of the drive I have to take over. Like there, I just had to kind of go away from my car. One of the things that I don't like about autopilot is it puts you in the middle of the lane, and if you're next to a big semi that's kind of hugging one side of the lane, it's not going to automatically kind of scoot away from it like you would if you were driving yourself. Now, full self-driving, it does do that, but autopilot does not. If you don't know the difference, autopilot is when it keeps you in your lane, keeps you, a specific distance in front or behind of cars, and does not do the full driving, whereas full self-driving will change lanes for you, take exits, etc. I've done both, and at the end of the day, I prefer the autopilot because 1, it's free, and 2, full self-driving it's not there yet, in my opinion. Some people swear by it, some people hate it. I'm kind of in the middle. I like it, but overall, I mean, I think I'd only use it if it were free. I don't trust it all the time. I think a human can still do a better job driving. But it's nice to have assistance, especially when you're in a traffic jam. And right now, there's not a huge traffic jam. But you'll notice the speed is not consistent. It goes up, it goes down, right? That's not me. I'm not doing any of that. It's just shooting a laser. And this is adaptive cruise control. I mean, this isn't exclusive to Tesla. But the keeping you in your lane is really good. I know some of the newer Hondas kind of have a lane assist feature. And it's good, but Tesla is better. It's just so much better on the self-driving. And overall, that is one of the biggest reasons why I enjoy it. The ride is comfortable as well. It's a pretty comfy ride. If you have someone big in the back seat and someone big in the front seat, you're not going to be comfortable. But if it's just you can scoot your seat back. It's certainly a good way to go. Again, this is a Model 3. Another thing worth considering is the gas savings. Now, gas savings are awesome. If I want to be specific with gas savings, I can go to the Tesla app, and I can tell you right now that it will estimate the cost per kilowatt hour to charge, and it will also estimate the gas per gallon, the cost per gallon, miles per gallon, all of that. So that being said, just looking at the last one trailing year for me, I've used 4,669 kilowatt hours. I've spent 15% of that at superchargers. Superchargers cost a little more, but mostly charging at home. And when I charge at home, it's about 11 cents per kilowatt hour. When you charge at a Tesla supercharging station, it's about 29 cents per kilowatt hour. And so my total cost in the past year charging is $629. Now, if you take $629, divide that by 12, that is, drumroll, $52.41 per month I spend on electricity, if you were to average that out. Now, if I were to have driven a gas car and I were to have gotten, approximately has an estimation of anywhere from 3 to 4 miles per gallon, anywhere from $3 to $4 per gallon, it estimates my gas savings at about $1,243 in the past year. I think that's a little high. I think you're probably going to want to take that down about 20%, just based on what I'm seeing. Based on that, gas savings is probably around $800 to $900, according to what my app's telling me. So overall, gas savings is a slight perk. It's not the only reason to drive electric, but it is a reason. The biggest expense is tires. And one thing about my Tesla is it happens to be the 18-inch wheel model. It doesn't look as nice. The bigger the wheel, typically the nicer it will look. But it's the smallest wheel you can get for a Tesla. For a Model 3, Model Y, any model that exists, the smallest wheel is the 18-inch wheel, which I have for my model. And that also happens to be the cheapest. You'll learn when you drive an EV because you're going fast, the tires are spinning, there's high torque, and also it's a heavier car. Your biggest expense is most likely going to be tires. I haven't had to replace my tires yet. I'm about 22,000 miles in. I don't anticipate having to change it until I'm at about, 40,000 miles. But when that happens, that will be my biggest expense. It's going to be about $200 to $250 a tire. If you have one of the bigger, fancier wheels on a nicer model of Tesla, it's going to be about double that. When I drove my little Honda Accord, the tires were like $150. So about 75% increase. It's a lot more expensive for sure, but overall it's worth the money. And you can argue that some of those extra tires can go into the gas savings, but then you also have brakes. The Tesla and electric cars in general have regenerative braking, which is really nice. Not only for one pedal driving, if I'm in traffic, I only have to press the gas, let off the gas. I don't really have to touch the brake, but it also saves on your brake pads as well. So where there's more expenses in one category, there's less in another. And overall with EVs, it's just less overall from my experience so far. One pedal driving, electric, savings, autopilot, and also just being able to not have to use my brakes is really, really nice. My model specifically, again, has cheaper tires, whereas other ones can be more expensive. But overall, you'll see once I get to city streets, it's not as helpful. I've got, stoplights, green lights. I'm not using autopilot. You don't use autopilot for that. You just have to drive yourself. And so I'm not looking for a car that fully drives itself. Obviously, if that existed and I trusted in it, who wouldn't want that? But it's not there. I mean, you can't just be asleep at the wheel. You have to be alert. And, it's not there. I don't trust it. It's done a few dicey things. There's also just little things that, humans can see that Teslas sometimes can't see, like a pothole or, incoming traffic or, another example is when you're using the full self-driving, the Tesla likes to go in the fast lane. And if someone's behind you and it's not going fast enough, a normal person would get out of the way, whereas the Tesla's just going to sit there because it doesn't know what's going on. So overall, great car, but not perfect.